The Beatles wanted to prove something with the publication of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which would go on to become one of the most famous and consequential albums of all time. Composed by Paul McCartney as a tune for an imaginary Edwardian military band, the psychedelic 1967 classic encapsulated the spirit of the so-called Summer of Love. The Fab Four decided to withdraw from touring in 1966 so they could devote more time to developing their sound through in-studio experiments. Additionally, they were sick of the image they had established for themselves in the early 1960s and wanted to start again. In the time between their first two studio albums, the band's sound had developed. Most people consider Rubber Soul from 1965 to be the first album in this vein, but it wasn't until Revolver in 1966 that the Beatles began to truly explore and accept new approaches. The Fab Four started working on their new album when they didn't have any upcoming live engagements to worry about, or a due date to release it. John Lennon started penning Strawberry Fields Forever in the fall of 1966 while filming How I Won the War in Spain. John and his pals used to play in the woods of Strawberry Field, a Salvation Army children's home near Woolton, as children, and the song brings back fond memories of their time spent there. As a result, Paul composed Penny Lane, a song about his childhood in South Liverpool. The writing of Penny Lane took place while Sgt. Pepper was in process. Along with Strawberry Fields, it was intended to be featured on Sgt. Pepper, and the two songs were to serve as inspiration for the album's theme. The tram sheds were there, and that was where the people waiting and the inspector stood. The fire engines were down there, Paul said, while discussing his song. It felt like being a kid again. Jonathan Gould, a music critic, claims that the Beatles' Liverpool background was the inspiration for their upcoming album, which would explore themes of revisiting childhood and growing up. When I'm 64 was supposed to be the next song to remain in similar style, but plans were revised when EMI put pressure on the band's producer, George Martin, to release a new single. The two songs, Strawberry Fields Forever and Penny Lane, were released in February 1967 as a double A-side single. Consequently, those two tracks were omitted from the album. However, the recurring subject of their Liverpool childhood persisted, even if Paul's concept of the Edwardian military band took center stage. His hope was that by assuming the persona of the military band, the Beatles would be able to shed their mop-top image and overcome expectations. On the other hand, the commercial failure of the Penny Lane and Strawberry Fields Forever single made it the first time since 1963's Please Please Me that a Beatles single did not reach #1 in the UK singles charts. Media outlets began to wonder if this meant the band's reign over the music industry was about to end. With the goal of making Sgt. Pepper sound great, the Beatles took their time recording it. Paul aspired to contradict anyone who doubted him. Sgt. Pepper was one of the earliest concept albums. It was recorded in the style of a performance by the fictitious band and told a whole story tied to a single topic. After its May 1967 debut, the album received rave reviews. Its critical acclaim mirrored its position atop the charts.